we have an interesting thing tonight in that we don't have a PowerPoint presentation tonight. We're actually going to have sort of a live demo of some of these scopes and all that going on tonight. So out of all nights, the camera on the back wall doesn't work tonight. So anyway, so for the folks on Zoom, I'm just giving you a heads up that what we're going to do is during the break, for the folks that are on Zoom, so you can see the what Kevin is doing with the telescopes. We're actually going to put the camera on my iPad. We're going to use that sort of as a little remote camera for the folks on Zoom. So everybody in the room will be able to see Kevin obviously live, and for the folks on Zoom, we'll get the camera set up on my iPad at the break time before Kevin comes up. Anyway, so once again, for those in the room, those on Zoom, welcome tonight. I say this every week, every month, I should say. Oh, this is just really not being, there we go. We hope you enjoy yourselves. We hope you learn something interesting. We hope you make a new friend tonight. And we hope you reconnect with some old friends as well. So anyway, for those of you with cell phones, which is pretty much all of us, it'd be a good time to put your cell phone on vibrate. I'm going to do the same thing on mine right now. All right, so first of all, any visitors tonight, if you'd like to introduce yourself, this would be a good time to raise your hand and introduce yourselves to us. We have a microphone for you so the folks on Zoom can hear about you as well. Very simple, name, how'd you find us, what's your astronomy experience, which is nothing to, I'm a practicing astronomer. And do you have a favorite thing about space? If you do, you can share that. So anybody who would like to introduce yourselves tonight, if you're new, please do so. Got one over here on the other side. Like I said, we'll give you a mic just mostly for, so everybody can hear you and the folks on Zoom can hear you as well.
My name is Fred Lombardo. I've been into astrophotography for about 2.5 years. I joined about 6 months ago the club, but I could never come to a meeting because my work schedule. I just got out of work. My favorite part of the space is taking images of deep space objects. I found out about the club just searching online on Facebook, and I wanted to join the club, and here I am.
Oh, welcome. Glad you joined us live tonight. So anyway, aren't I much better looking in person than I am on film? No, I'm kidding. So anyway, all right. Anybody? Okay. So one more.
Yeah, my name is Steve Talent, and I've been involved loosely with astronomy since I was 5 years old. My brother, he got his PhD in astronomy, astrophysics, and has built numerous telescopes around the world. Main reason I came here is I want to get rid of a bunch of magazines, and these are all free. And I'd kind of like to see what telescopes you're using here, because I would like to get a German equatorial mount at some point. Put my C90 scope on, or just like 35 millimeters.
Okay.
Be a good place to maybe make some connections. And I understand, is Howard Anderson one of your members?
Howard Anderson.
No, okay. I thought he might have been involved.
Okay. All right. So welcome. Anybody else tonight? I've got one in the back there, Amanda.
Hi, Chris Rogers. Just been watching a lot of YouTube videos on space and astronomy, and Fraser Kane, I think his name is, recommended get involved with the local astronomy club. So I looked you guys up, and here I am.
Okay, well, welcome. Glad you're here tonight. So anybody else we'd like to introduce? Oh, one more.
Justin Jones, kind of similar. I just found you guys kind of like looking online, just kind of fell down the rabbit hole of a lot of YouTube videos. Beyond that, I really have no experience, but I think I would be interested in getting a camera. I like to go out with my boys a lot, camping and stuff, and we found a lot of beautiful night skies, just never been able to look through it through a telescope. So I'm going to get into it.
Okay, welcome. Anybody else here tonight we'd like to introduce? Oh, got one here in the front row, Amanda.
My name is Enzo. My thing in astronomy is I did a project on black holes and wormholes for about an entire year at my school. We did a capstone, but I learned a lot about time relativity, and my mom found this place, and we thought it would be a great place to go for to research, to learn about telescopes and stuff like that.
Okay, well, welcome, Enzo. Anyone else? All right. Well, thank you. Some new folks here tonight. Well, welcome. We appreciate you joining us tonight, and I hope you enjoy the presentations tonight as well. All right. Tonight's agenda. We have some just our standard general announcements that will take 5 minutes to do. We'll talk a little bit about recent public outreach events. So Alice will be coming up for that in just a few moments. Then we have some events we'll be talking about. And then we have a couple member presentations tonight. And if you'll notice, both of them for James Yoder. So he's going to do both of those tonight. And then we'll take our short, 10, 15-minute break at the end of the member presentations. And then we'll have our main presentation tonight with Kevin LeGore, who's actually a rep for Skywatcher here in the area. And as you can see, he's brought some stuff to show, and kind of a show and tell session tonight is what this is going to be. So anyway, so we should have a nice, really good meeting tonight. General announcements, these are just the standard things we say every month. So we'll go through these in just a few minutes. So first of all, if you're a joiner, then you can join the club. So most of you have, it's about halfway through the year now. So I imagine most of you have joined if you intend to do so. You can do it at a meeting here at the back table with Brooks there against the back wall, or you can join using the EVAC website. If you haven't been on the EVAC website in a while, we've been adding a lot of options now for payment. We kind of have joined the 21st century finally. We were using paper checks and PayPal, and that was about it. So now we've got several different methods, Google and Apple Pay and things like that available as well. So if you haven't been on the website, there are different ways of joining now, but that website's been updated. If you'd like to know what's happening here at EVAC at any given time, there's 4 different ways you can find out. You can actually sign up to automatically get stuff pushed in your email box about events that are happening here, things we're going to be doing. We're going out to an observing site, whatever it might be. We do not sell your email addresses to anybody, so you don't get spam from 100 different places by signing up with us. And you'll probably get half a dozen emails a month from us as a rule. Like I'll be sending out one Monday. I have to make an announcement about an upcoming event. So you'll see a couple of emails a month. That's about it. But the nice thing about that, if you sign up, is that it automatically just arrives in your email box. You can take a look. You can actually manually pull information as well about what's happening at the club by actually going to our website and going out to the events and meetings tab. And there's a calendar right there, and you can click on different events on the calendar and get details about what's happening there as well. Like I said, that's more of a manually, you pull it down to yourself. Kind of if you want it both manually and automatically, you can sign up for our newsletters as well. Morgan Moran is our newsletter editor, and he's been making a lot of updates to that recently. And actually, the newsletter is getting quite interesting. Scott's starting to put pictures in and all sorts of different things as well. So that's another way to get information. And then also we have a Facebook page, and there's over 1,000 people signed up on the Facebook page now. And so the nice thing about the Facebook page is that you can post stuff there yourself. So the email is kind of locked down just mostly to the staff, so we don't get a lot of spam on that email. But Facebook, you can say, hey, I'm looking for X, or I'm looking to sell Y, or whatever it might be, or here I took a cool photo, or hey, we're going out to pick up post on Friday night. Do you want to go? All sorts of announcements on that Facebook site. It's really quite nice. So different ways to stay connected here. Do you need a telescope or training on how to use a telescope? We have that available as well. So also on our website, you can scroll to an area where you can have used equipment for sale or rental equipment as well. So we have lots of stuff for sale. It's usually about half price of what it would be retail through an online store or through an actual brick and mortar store. So that's kind of a nice way to go if you don't have quite the funds to get something new. A lot of times people just get tired of the hobby, or they bought it and realize it's not their thing. They just want to get rid of the telescope. So they donate them to us, and we a lot of times sell them for about half price as a result. We also have equipment for rent. We have regular telescopes. We have a C-Star. We have a new astrograph that we have out there, the Celestial Origin, that's available to rent now. If you would like to try out some astrophotography and you can't afford the scope, we have one for rent now. So lots of different things out there. You can click either one of those buttons and take a good look and see what's out there, and might be something you'd be interested in. We also have some training that's online. So online, we have underneath news and resources, we have all these little blue tabs, and those are just different topics that we do training on and so forth. Also, James occasionally does run classes that are hands-on. He has Zoom classes during the week. that you just attend remotely, and then they'll get together on the weekends and actually go out to an observing site and actually practice using telescopes. Anything coming up recent in the near future? Not until it cools down. That's what I bet I guessed, but so probably towards the September timeframe then. All right. Our charter is to give back to the community. So Alice is moving her way up here. So she'll talk about, Alice is our events coordinator here. So she handles a lot of the public and private star parties that we put together. So
hello, everyone. Like Steve said, my name's Alice Klobe. I'm the events coordinator. And tonight, because the sun is not setting until a bit later, we actually have the manager, Claude, for Greco. So I'm going to allow Claude to fill you guys in, and then I'll jump in when he gets done. Woohoo!
So welcome to the longest day of the year, or what feels like the longest day, because it's almost the hottest day of the year. So it's rough. But the observatory is just down the way. And if you haven't been to the observatory after the meeting, I don't think you're going to run that late. Come by and visit us just for a bit. We do have a good number of volunteers. If you're interested in volunteering, just email me and we can figure it out. We'll just do a little conversation and see how much you want to volunteer. The observatory itself, this is not our favorite season. It's kind of a sweat lodge as well as observatory because it's hot. But it's also a short night. The winter nights are, like in the winter solstice, sun setting about 5:30. It's a really long night, so it's like 4 hours. Since we're open from sunset till 9:30 throughout the year. But do come to the observatory. I would encourage you to follow us on Facebook, because if we happen to be closed for clouds or something, that's what we post on Facebook. Also special events at the observatory, like solar viewing for the astronomy day or any of the special events that take place in the park that we participate with. So do come and visit the observatory. It's something that we're very proud of, and we really appreciate the work of Alice and Gordon, assistant manager. And for our second Friday star party, the turnout has gotten much better the last few months, and that really makes it a fun evening for the people who do come for that special night, the second Friday. But we're open every Friday and Saturday, weather permitting, so come and see us.
Thank you, Claude. Yeah, it's a nice privilege to have Claude here. Normally, he is actually out working Greco because the sun is usually down. Yeah, so thank you for reminding me. Happy winter solstice, or sorry, summer solstice. All right, now on to me. So I am the events coordinator. And my favorite part about being a member is doing outreach. And what do we do with outreach? We go to schools, community centers, HOAs, and basically we share our love of astronomy with other people. Right now, summertime, it's pretty hot. We have our second Friday star parties and a couple of community center star parties, but that's about it. What do you do at a star party if you wanted to volunteer? Well, there's two things. If you have a telescope, you would bring your telescope, have an object in mind of what you wanted to share with guests, have some facts about that object that you wanted to share, and then just share that with the guests coming up. If you don't have a telescope, or you're like, I'm a little leery about bringing my telescope with kids, I am happy to have you just to come and help with crowd control. So we were calling them walkers, but I need help sometimes checking on the astronomers with the telescope. Are they doing okay? Do they need a break? Do you need to watch the telescope for them? Or keeping our younger guests from running around, or reminding our guests about telescope etiquette, no flash photography, no food or drink, that kind of thing. It's really, really fun. All the events that are coming up will be listed on the meetings and events on the website. You choose what you want to attend, how often you want to attend. If you are interested in doing this, you definitely need to sign up at this very bottom website. That's freelist.org/list/evac outreach. We communicate everything through email. So I send out reminders of star parties coming up, cancellations, changes, all that kind of thing is done through email. So you definitely need to sign up there. And talking about our outreach, I'll share the last two that we have. So this is Apache Junction it's generational center, but cultural center works too. Just over here at AJ, it was a star night for the guests to come and view. It was also our debut of the EV scope that we just purchased for outreach. Thank you, Nathan, by the way. Where are you, Nathan? Thank you, Nathan. Nathan managed it and ran it. He also did it for the Second Friday Star Party as well. It was a huge hit. Here it was a small crowd. I'd say we had about 25, 30 people between the EV scope, and a thank you to Brooks as well. He brought the meteorite table, and that is always a huge hit. So between those two and then our astronomers, it was a really, really fun night. Next was our Greco Second Friday Public Star Party. It's getting hot. So I just want to shout out to all of our volunteers for showing up. It was hot. It was a little muggy towards the end, but we had about 100 guests, a little over 100 guests that night at Greco, which means that we had about that at our telescopes. And a huge shout out to our new members there as well that recently joined, that volunteered their time as well. So this was our Second Friday Star Party. Loved it. Had a great time. And then upcoming star parties, again, July, Greco is going to be it. August is Second Friday Star Party. And then we also have the Apache Junction Multi-Generational Center has another star party that night or that month as well. I really don't have a lot of star parties coming up until about October. I have about 4 already booked. So I will keep you posted. And then here at the library for the summer, this past Monday, Gordon Rosner, he did a lecture on all about telescopes. Again, we had about 25 people. And then afterwards, we went up to Greco and viewed through the telescope. Our next one is going to be on Monday, July 21st. It's going to be on meteors, asteroids, and comets. And again, after it's about an hour lecture, we'll go up to Greco and view as well. So please come and join us on July 21st. And then if you guys have any questions about volunteering for outreach, please feel free to ask me at the break or after the meeting. I'm happy to answer them. All right, thank you. Go, Steve.
Thank you, Alice. All right, group event stuff. First of all, we had a very nice time just a few weeks back with Mr. Neil deGrasse Tyson out at his lecture in Phoenix. So I tried to keep tabs on the room, and for what I could see as I bopped around or tried to text various people, I think we had at least 21 people here from the club out at that event. So we had a great time out there. It was a lot of fun. It was really nice getting those early access tickets because most of us had pretty good seats too as well. And a few people in here actually had free seats as well. So they had the free tickets also. So really great time. We had a good time there. The University of Arizona Tucson event has been delayed. Most everybody, I think, knows about that needs to know. I did send out sort of a big mass email to everybody that was signed up. This was supposed to be on June 28th, so next Saturday. But last Friday, the Mirror Lab, which is one of the 4 venues we're going to tour down there, called and said, well, we hate to do this to you, but we're canceling you. So kind of a mad scramble, but we got the bus and all 4 venues sort of rescheduled now for July 12th. We're going to lose a few people in the process because of prior scheduled vacations, things like that. So there could be some seats opening up though as a result, because we are going to lose a few people that just can't do it on the new date. So look in your email, kind of keeping that eye on email, because you might see some emails coming out sort of midweek this week where some seats might be available. And so if you wanted to do it but didn't have a spot, you might be able to get a spot. So we are going to have some things there. So anyway, I'll have more say about this later on. But anyway, all this information here will go out in email to all the participants before we leave anyway. One last thing, some of you may or may not have issues walking. Some members are older, some members just have issues, you never know. But that's about the longest walk you'll have the whole day, just so you know. I actually went down there and checked out all the venues about 2 weekends ago. And I'm standing at really the stadium where lunch and the Mirror Lab is, and that arrow in the back there is pointing to like the planetarium and the science center. So it's about a 200-yard walk. And one group's going to get to make that walk 3 times, and one group's going to get to make that walk twice, and one group's going to make that walk once. So it kind of depends on which group you're in. But anyway, that'll be about the longest walk you will have for the day. So I just thought I'd let you know that. Member presentations. So James, you're up now. James is going to be talking about a book overview, The Starhopper's Guide to the Universe, and then back by popular demand, he's also going to be doing the thing on building a sky cam. So, all right.
Is it currently set up to share the entire screen so I can pop around in it?
Right now.
Okay, while you're doing that, I'm grab some stuff real quick. Raspberry Pi. Yeah, so James, while he's setting that up, James Yoder, got a couple presentations. Hopefully it'll get interest for you, no matter where you're at. The first one is more to do probably if you own an observatory or something that you want to keep an eye on the night sky to see what it looks like while you're in your bed. The other thing is a book that I worked in collaboration with a couple other people that I'll mention coming up, which is real good for star hopping. So if you're wanting to do some observing, that would be a good resource for that. So, still working on it. Okay. Good to go? Yep, it looks like it. We'll start with the browser and then. Okay, great. Thank you. Let me set the timer here so I don't run over. Okay, so like I said, this is about what's called the All Sky Cam, and it's a project that I stumbled on the website. Basically, what they do is take a Raspberry Pi, which is a real cheap little computer. Sorry. That's not showing? Oh, that's the other way. Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay. And you put the Pi in a container, something like this, with the camera, you hook it up to a camera, and you put it out in the sky, and then you can remote into it and take a look at it. Let's show you what I'm talking about. So I'm going to go to my website here real quick. Artcentrics. Okay. This has some other resources on it all too, so that we'll go through. So if we go to the astronomy resources, there's a couple ways to get to this cam. I'm going to go to site conditions because I put some other stuff on there also. So this is a website that I set up, and as you can see, here's the camera. So this is looking on, it's sitting on top of my roof, and this I have it updating every 90 seconds, I believe. So this is the night sky right now. And of course, as it gets darker, you'll be able to see the stars coming out and everything. So you can see if there's clouds coming or something like that. So that's the All Sky Cam. It also has some other neat features to it that we can get to. That's on the other page. Oh, before we do that, let me show you. You can, if you're interested in doing this, you can download the instructions on how I did that on this page right here. It's fairly comprehensive, and it also has a price list, and we'll go through that in the demonstration shortly. So back to resources and go to the All Sky Cam. Some of the other nice, neat features about the All Sky Cam is you can click on this guy here and it'll show you what constellations are up, and you know, it should match with the stars. It's kind of neat. I have it so it compiles the images that it takes throughout the night, and you can have a time lapse. So this one has clouds in it. So let me pull that one up. And you can see the moon going across there and the clouds going across. So you can see review how the night went before. So that's another nice feature. What else can it do? This is what's called a keogram, which I won't show that. It's a single picture that shows what happened over the night. And then star trails, you can click on here and see what the star trails were. As you can see, there are some clouds in there and stuff. So anyway, has some nice features like that. It also has some other features that I have not implemented yet that you can download. This is all free software. So other nice features that apparently you can hunt for comets, or not comets, but meteorites. So if there's some software that'll identify if a meteorite was in a picture and save that for you. There's also automated, they call it AI, but it's, I think, machine learning, that's supposed to be able to tell if there's clouds automatically. And so if you do have an observatory, you can hook up your Pi to it and tell the observatory to shut down, you know, close the window, and so you don't get rained on and stuff like that. So there's a lot of really neat features that you can download and implement also if you want. So let's go ahead and show you the document and what it looks like. So here's the first iteration that I did here. This is, when I first did it, the instructions are you take a PVC pipe and take some ends of the pipe and put it in the pipe. And so I did that, and that was it works pretty well. And it's fairly cheap to do the pipe. You don't have to have like a 3D printer. But after I did that, taking it apart and making modifications are not easy the way it's designed there. So I went ahead, I do have a 3D printer. So I went ahead and designed a box, something like this guy here, where the camera goes in the top, just like in the picture there. The other nice thing I like about this is on the first revision, you have to remote into it. Well, on this one, you can see over there, I put a touch screen on the bottom of it, and the Pi is on the back of the touch screen. And so that unit, so I'm saying is the touch screen is here over there, and the Pi is actually in here. So when it goes outside, it's going to sit down like this, so it won't get rained on. But if you need to take it in and work on it, you just take it out and it's ready to go. So you don't have to get a monitor or anything. It's ready to go right there. The other nice thing about it is it's got what's called power over internet, which is just basically, normally you hook it up to a internet cable so it can feed the stuff to the website. Well, I don't have a power source on there because it's going right through the internet cable. So there's one cable that goes up to that cam, and that powers the Pi and everything. So that's the idea of how it works. And here are the instructions on what I did. Again, this is just telling what are some of the features that it can do. There's the keogram, which basically takes a slice of every frame that it takes throughout the night and builds this picture up, and you can see when the clouds came in and everything. Also, you can also have a SQM module on there, so you can tell how dark the sky is. And so there's just a lot of little things you can put on there for free. So the instructions on how to do it are in the references, how I've discovered how to do it, what's required. Also, there's a company called Titan Astro that makes what's called a hat, which goes on top of it, of your Raspberry Pi. It hooks right on top of it and goes in the enclosure. And it has a lot more features that make it easier to do the SkyCam with. And here's the price, what I paid for all the different components, putting it together. So the Raspberry Pi itself only is like $150, and then coolers and all this other equipment. So the bottom line was about $750 to get this all done, which isn't bad if you're doing an observatory. It's kind of nice to have that feature. What else? This is just some pictures of the innards that you can see. There's a Raspberry Pi along with the camera. The cameras, you can put different cameras on there, but the cameras are pretty cheap. Let's see, how much is the camera on here? Dust fan, clock. $52? Okay. Yeah, so pretty cheap stuff. Yeah, there it is, the Pi 2. So pretty cheap stuff. You know, each of these components are fairly cheap, actually. And this is the hat. This is actually the most expensive part, I think, is this hat, but it's well worth it because it has, instead of having to do some wiring and stuff like that for the camera, it has wires already there for the fan and wires there already for a temperature sensor. Everything's ready to go. And it's Titan Astro, and they did it just for, obviously, this cam. And I think it's $155. So that's, you know, $5 more than the Pi itself, but well worth the money. So that's basically the setup and what we use it for, or what I use it for. And I got 2 minutes on this topic, so we can take, I guess we can do questions on the topic, and then we'll go into the next one. Leo. Yes, Leo is asking how it's going to handle in very hot temperature here in Phoenix. Well, so there's different media you can use to print out. This is ABS, very hard to work with, but it's supposed to handle it. I haven't tried it. PET was supposed to be able to handle it, PET G, but I tried a test strip and it didn't really do too well in the Arizona sun. But that's not surprising. It gets freaking hot out here. And this is black. That was intentional, right, obviously. And it didn't bend this way on its own, but I went out there shortly after lunch and I'm like, yeah, this isn't going to work for me. So yeah, it's got to be ABS probably. But I also was looking on websites, and there's a number of companies that you can print automatically if you give them the file. And I can't remember what the material was, but they had material that I put this in there, and it was like $75 to print it, and it was good material. I can't remember what it was, but it was UV resistant. The problem with ABS is it's not UV resistant, so it'll break down. So I'll have to paint this. But there are materials that will work and companies that would print out for you if you wanted to. Good question. Any other questions? Yeah. So let me repeat the question so people can hear. So online. So the recommendation is it would be nice to have this at picket posts, and I agree. It would be. These are great for remote sites. You do need to have some kind of Wi-Fi, you know, or not Wi-Fi, but internet access. But if you did have a solar thing hooked up to it, it would be pretty simple to do that. And yeah, it works off very low power. So it's a good idea. I don't think, well, we don't own picket posts, so we'd never do it out there. But if you have a remote site, it's a pretty cool solution. Instead of, well, you go ahead.
I was just curious if you spotted any satellites going over. About 2 weeks ago, I saw a Falcon 9 rocket reentry burn. I tried to shoot a video with my cell phone, but I forgot to push the start button.
Yeah. So I'm not sure if they can hear you online or not, but yeah, he's asking about the Falcon 9 or whether we see satellites and stuff like that. Well, I'm right in the middle of the city, so I don't see a lot, but I imagine the rocket launches probably get captured. But honestly, I haven't looked at, you know, the thing to see, but I keep about a month worth and it's online. So if you want to go to the website and check it out and see what night there is a Falcon 9 launch, you might be able to find. Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. So you could do some good stuff with it. So any other questions? Do we have any online questions? Okay, so let's move on to the next topic. Thanks everyone for listening to that. The next topic is about a book. So as you guys know, I do, let me find second last at the bottom. Okay, got it, right. then I need to open the other document. Well, actually, before I do that, let me show them how to get to it. So as you guys know, I do teach an astronomy class. And preparing for one of the classes, there's a technique. There's some people that don't do a lot of astronomy, so I'm going to explain that real quick, called star hopping. What it is if you're looking for something that's pretty dim in the sky that you can't see with your naked eye easily, and you don't have one of those fancy dancy go-to telescopes, what you can do is find the constellations that you're familiar with, and then a chart and see where things are at in the sky, try to figure out where it's at and hop your way to the dimmer things with your telescope. So it's a technique to find dim things through your telescope. And it's quite popular. So the star hopping technique was one I was going to teach in the class, and I was looking for some good charts for that. And I ran across this website, and I should have brought it up here. Let me see if I can find it real quick. EVAC education books. So I ran across this website. I do not have it listed here. That Jim here, the co-author, had put up, and I'll go to that link later on in the book. Anyway, he has some fantastic charts. I think some of the best charts I've seen. And so I looked on there, and he had a lot of them, over 200 of them. And so they're really nice, but what was lacking in my thought was that I want to take these out in the field. These are online. It's hard to see in the field if it's online. So I contacted Jim and asked him if he'd be interested in collaborating together to put it all in a book, so it's nice and combined in one PDF file, in a PDF file that you could take with you, or it's designed to be printed out. You could print out sections of the book, or else print out the entire thing. That's what I got here. It's quite a bit. And since it's spiral bound, it's real easy to go to where you want to go. So he was all game for that. So me, Jim, and Andrea also helped out a lot with the editing and stuff. Decided to go ahead and work on that. And he done all the heavy lifting on this. The star charts, which I'm going to show you shortly. I just basically organized and added supplemental materials. So we put this book together. You can go to this website here and download it right here. It's completely free. Feel free to download it and pull the sections you want out of it. You can print a section at a time, or else print out the entire book. So let's go ahead and walk through the book a little bit. How do I pull up? Oh, there's the file. Now this Skyhopper's got it. There we are. Okay, so here it is. Again, let's first hop to the good stuff, and then I'm going to back off and go to the crap that I put in there, because I don't want you to miss the main thrust of the book. I'll spend a lot of time on other stuff. The main thrust of the book is these star charts. So let me get to it real quick. So just keep that in mind. This is sort of like when you make a cake, this is the cake part of it, and I put the icing stuff on it. So here's an example of Messier 44, the beehive cluster. So you can see here, he talks about what it is. He shows you a big chart, where it is relative to like Bootes, Regulus. This is the spring triangle. So there's the big orientation map. And then from there, you can come down here and find Regulus, which is here and here. And he tells you, well, come over here and you can find M44 right over here. So it really makes it a lot easier to find stuff. And this book is just full of all these great maps that he put together. So that's the main purpose of the book. Now I'm going to go ahead and go through some of the supplemental material that we put in there. Organized. So it's mostly organized by constellations. And so let's talk about that. Introduction. This is a very handy little sheet that you could print out. One thing, and I don't think many astronomers have seen this. I can't remember where I saw this chart at. I redid it. But this chart here is kind of nice if you're looking to see what you want to look at the night and you want to see what's high up for the night. The way it works is you can see across here is January, February, March, April, the month. And then these rows here represent the declination or right ascension. I always confuse this. I think it's the right ascension. No, it's the declination of the constellations, right? So like Ursa Major in May is at its peak. in May, and it's about 70 degrees. So if I come down here, we're in June, and I want to see what constellations would be good to focus on. Draco the Dragon is going to be very high in the sky. Hercules, SER, I can't pronounce it. I'm horrible at pronouncing, so forgive me on that. Anyway, Scorpius. So these are the constellations you want to concentrate on, right? Because they're going to be high in the sky. Earlier in the evening, it's going to be May, and later in the morning would be July. So this is a good way to figure out what constellations you might want to focus in on. It's a really nice little chart. And then above that is the constellations along with the 3-letter abbreviations and also some Greek alphabet, so basic information there. I wanted to point out that chart because I don't think a lot of astronomers are aware of that chart. It's pretty handy. Conventions and catalogs just talk about how the tables are set up. When we look at, well, we'll go through that later on. But some of the objects that we're going to introduce or recognize are astroderms, open clusters, globular clusters, galaxies, and here's abbreviations for them. And we also talk about the different stellar naming conventions, astronomical catalogs, just list some of those so you're familiar with them. Hints and tricks of how to get around, like units of measure. They use degrees, arc minutes, arc seconds, and explains that a little bit there. And then how to estimate distances and so forth. Information about multiple star systems, and then some online resources. And then we talk about what the sky looks like in fall, winter, and such. How to orient yourself basically to the Big Dipper. It's the one, knowing where the north is one of the keys things you have to know. And so this helps you orient yourself that way. Then we talk about seasonal aster. I can pronounce it usually, but asterms, whatever you pronounce. So there's a spring triangle, the summer triangle, the great square of Pegasus, and the winter hexagon. If you figure out where these are, you can figure out where a lot of other stuff is. And these are very bright objects that you can even see in the city. So this is a starting point of getting to know the night sky. And then we talk about the targets. And we got all the Messier catalogs in here. If you select any one of these links, it'll take you straight to that object in the book. Same with Cadwell catalog. We have about half of them. And then we got some NGC objects in here, along with this other stuff, multiple star systems and so forth. Then there's some seasonal highlights. These are some interesting things that you probably don't want to miss. Either they're very nice things or else they're very easy to find. So we wanted to list about 10 or so for each season. And again, if you click any of these links, it's going to take you right to that page. Okay, so now we're getting to the core of the book, and it's the constellations. So again, the books is organized by the different constellations. So if we go in here, the first one's going to be probably Andromeda. Yeah, there's Andromeda. And so this is the introduction page to that constellation. As you can see, the evening visibility is listed up there. Let me make this a little larger. Information on Andromeda. Again, this book was made to be printed, but also if you want to do research before or after you observe, this has a lot of links that are going to be handy. So you can do online stuff too, but it prints perfectly fine. So for instance, if I want to find out more about Andromeda, I'll go ahead and select this link. And it's going to open up a website called the Constellation Guide. This thing has anything you want to know about Andromeda or whatever constellation, the history of it, the size of it, where it's at, interesting objects in there. So, and here's the map that I use in my book also, and so forth. All right, so that's one of the resources that'll do there. And then it tells how many charts are in this constellation and how many objects we have featured in here. And now there's also each of the objects that we have featured for this constellation is listed here. And if you select any of these, it's going to likely take you to Wikipedia and give you information on there. Again, whatever information you want. So let's go to M31. I'll click on that. We're going to go straight to Wikipedia, all about the Andromeda Galaxy information here. So it's a nice resource that will take you all these different places. InTheSky.org has these fantastic maps, and here I put it in here, and if you click this, it'll take it in there to you. Okay, under that, we've got a summary of the objects here. We got the object type, and the object name. So the object name is, in this particular thing, it's a star. It's a double star system. DS stands for double star system. And then we have charts, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. 2 links here. Aliases. These are what things are, many things in astronomy, for those who don't know, have multiple names because they're in multiple catalogs. So like ALMAC is also SAO, blah, 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 or HIP, there's the numbers there, or Gamma Andromeda, Andromeda 57. So this kind of makes it easier. The important reason we have the SAO and HIP numbers there, if you have a go-to telescope, this is what you can put in there and it'll take you right there. Then we provide statistics on the object. In this case, it's a multiple star system. So we've got the magnitude of the primary star and the secondary star. So it's a 2.2 and a 5.0. And the separation between the stars is 9.8 arc seconds. Okay. Now, if it's a deep sky object, for instance, M31 here, which is the Andromeda Galaxy, you can see it's Andromeda Galaxy, also NGC 20 or 224. It's a magnitude 3.4 and also has a surface brightness of 23.1 and a size of 189 arc minutes by 62. Surface brightness, for those who are not familiar with it, is something that's not used in astronomy that much, but I think it should be used more. What it is, magnitude really works good for stars. It tells you how much the total amount of light coming into the telescope that you're looking at, how bright a star is. For point sources like a star, that's great. That tells you exactly how bright that star is going to look. But for something that's over a certain area, like a galaxy, you're not looking at a point source. You're looking actually at something that has some size to it. So that all that light, the magnitude tells you all the light from that thing, not just that point source. So it's spread out over the space. What surface brightness does, it takes all the light and the area, surface area of that object, and then calculates what the surface brightness is. So how much the overall brightness is. That's going to help you identify whether you can see it from the background or not. So again, it's not used a lot. And also the thing to remember is that that's the average, as opposed to galaxies may have arms that are brighter in some areas or dimmer in others. So it's not completely exactly accurate, but it's a good ballpark thing. And it's something, if you start getting familiar with, you can see, you know, I saw the Andromeda in my telescope and it was fairly bright. Its surface brightness is this, but the next one is, you know, a surface brightness of something different. Maybe I won't be able to see it in this telescope. So it'll help you get an idea of what you can expect. Okay, so that's the summary table, except for the charts. If we hit this first chart here, this is going to take us to Jim's website, and I'll briefly talk about Jim's website real quick. So if I clicked on that, thought it was going to take me there. Let's try that again. Oh, I'm sorry. Clicking on the first one takes you straight to that place in the book. So the first one takes you to the book. The second one will take you to Jim's website. So let's go to Jim's website here. And we'll allow that. And here's Jim's website. It has, again, you can download the same chart that we were just looking, or that will show you on that. But he also has images and then charts here. So it's really nice supplemental material there. So there's Jim's website. And then again, if you click on this, it'll take us straight to that object. So let's go ahead and click on, well, before we do that, let's look at the other feature. So we also try to provide images, although, you know, you're not going to see something like this in your telescope, but it'll give you an idea of what we're looking at. So images of most of the objects are also in here in the gallery. And then after that, we go to the individual star hopping charts. So let's go back a little bit. Hopefully I'm not going too fast and losing you guys, but I'm trying to keep it all in time. So if we let's go to the blue snowball nebula. We'll just click on this first link here. It's a planetary nebula, you can see, and its surface brightness is 19, and there's the size. And we'll click on it, and that takes us to that part in the book. Here's a description of it and how to get to it. There's a great for a Pegasus, and you go up here, and you can see it's between these stars here in this area here. So that's the idea of the book. We got many different constellations in here, and over, well, the book pages is like 300 pages. So you can see just a ton of stuff there. I wanted to show you some of the bottom material before we take questions here. At the bottom, in the appendix, I wanted to provide an opportunity for people to print out a logbook if they wanted to. Here's a quick little summary logbook of what you had sketched or something. And here's the pages where you can sketch if you want to sketch your objects that you have. If you're not into sketching, there's another logbook that's just more text driven. You can print out these pages as many as you want, make a book out of it. So, and that's the end of it. So, any questions on the book? Oh, well,
Thank you. Do you know like the best time of year to see Andromeda?
well, let's find out real quick. Let's go up here and find it. So it's a good chance to, if I can get up there. There we are. So if we go up to Andromeda, it's a good chance to show how to use the book. So here's the constellations. We'll hit Andromeda, and visibility is September to February in the evening sky is the best time to see it.
Thank you.
There you go. Good question. Anything? Any other questions?
How long did it take to do this?
Well, that's a good question. Actually, like I said, Jim did all this work over years. I worked hard on it and intensely long, but for only 4 weeks. Jim did all the work. So now it's kind of funny because no one wants to take credit. He's like, no, you did all the work, but he did all the work. He's too shy to ask the question. Personally, okay, got it.
What did you use to generate your charts? I used something a long time ago called Star Chart.
Yeah, I don't know what Jim used to. I think he may have used, it's a French Cartesius. I think I'm doing some of my own charts right now, and that's what I'm using for it, along with Visio to do the notations. It's a French Cartesius, and it's completely free. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's free and it's very flexible, but it's kind of complicated to learn because, but it works good. Stellarium is another really good program, but that's not it didn't have as much flexibility as I did. Other questions? We can see if there are any online real quick. Nothing? Okay. Well, you guys got the website. Feel free to download it and use the charts. Oh, one other thing before I leave. Just if you guys are interested, we are going out to picket post tomorrow. It might be a little windy to begin with, and it's going to be freaking hot. But if you're interested in going to picket post, we will be out there probably till midnight. So, all right, thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Amanda. I'm the vice president, and it is one of my club responsibilities to book the speakers. So I'm excited to introduce Kevin. He's a longtime friend of the club, and he is the regional senior product specialist for Skywatcher. So we are going to learn about the latest trends in the telescope industry, and obviously he's going to show off some of this cool equipment he brought. So thank you so much, Kevin.
Welcome to Astronomers Anonymous. We come here oh, I'm just kidding, wrong meeting. It's still AA. So I like throwing jokes into things, obviously, so I'll keep it fun. My name is Kevin LeGore. I'm the product specialist for Skywatcher here for North America. I also own Focus Astronomy, which is another outreach organization here in Phoenix. We're going to do the feedback loop? Okay. I'll wait for that to work out. Better? Yeah, there we go. Cool. So usually I like to do PowerPoint presentations, but I figured it would be, let me scoot over here so people can see me. I figured it'd be a lot more interesting for everyone to do a little bit more of a show and tell. So my job, I help with product development and beta testing all the new Skywatcher products. I've brought some of them. There's another half a dozen or so at home, but you'd need an NDA to even have that discussion. So I brought what I could talk about, but because I also work in the telescope industry, I'm friends with a lot of the different companies. I have some extra goodies here, like the Pegasus Smart Eye. We'll talk about that. And then I have the brand new TeleVue Nagler Type 7s, which TeleVue shipped to me specifically for tonight. So thanks to TeleVue for doing that. Please don't walk off with them or I have to pay for them. So it's like, so I'm going to start with our stuff first for Skywatcher. If you have questions, just feel free to ask. I'd be happy to answer anything about either Skywatcher or the industry. I'll answer what I can. And then we'll get into the other equipment as well. So Skywatcher this year, we unveiled a brand new series under our brand, and that is Heliostar. Heliostar is Skywatcher's first step into hydrogen alpha solar observing. So these are dedicated solar telescopes. I believe you guys have one in the observatory. You have a 100 over there? Yeah, fancy. So the Heliostar, the first one that we came out with is the 76 millimeter. These are actually shipping now. So it's a 3-inch, roughly, solar refractor. It's only made for one thing. So right now it's a really expensive paperweight because it's dark outside. But unlike other companies like Coronado or Lunt, you would have to buy additional etalons. I'm not sure how many of you know what an etalon is. I'll backtrack. So inside of the heart of a solar telescope is what's called an etalon. It's two very highly accurate polished pieces of glass, and they are stuck together, and that bounces around the light in there and then passes it, so you can get a very narrow wavelength of light. We measure that in angstroms. We're way down there, really tiny. Most solar telescopes, like the really popular Coronado PST, that's about 1 angstrom. Most of the Lunts and Coronados are 0.7 angstroms. And then if you want to get down even further to about 0.5, where you get that really angry looking sun, you need to add an additional etalon, which is expensive. I think like a Lunt 50 double stack etalon's $1,000, and that's the starting point. Our telescopes, you don't need to double stack. They are 0.5 angstrom right out of the box. No additional hardware needed. And our blocking filters on the back, which help clip out the UV and the IR and get you onto the right bandpass, are upsized, so they're good for imaging right out of the box. We don't have multiple sizes like our competitors do, which makes it very clean and straightforward for you to use the scope right out of the box without needing any additional hardware or any additional expense. So we're really, really pleased to have these here. And I'm an avid solar observer myself. I've had a collection of stuff like many of us. These excelled beyond what I thought our engineers could do, and they really knocked it out of the park. A few people in here have been able to use them. Steve got to look through it this afternoon when we got here early, and the 76 does a really nice job. And then we do sell it on what's called the Solar Quest mount. This little mount right here holds 11 pounds, has a little Vixen style saddle, so any scope will work. Its whole job is to find and track the sun. It has a GPS and then a small little solar sensor in here. So you turn it on, auto levels, finds GPS, and it finds the sun automatically and guides on it for the rest of the day. So that's a whole little kit, or you can just buy the mount or scope, whatever you want to do. So that's our 76 millimeter. Now over here on the table, this guy, this is the only Heliostar 100 on the continent. So this is our prototype 100 millimeter. I'm actually able to talk about it now because it's quietly been introduced. These are coming hopefully next year, but I figured I was able to show and tell you guys about it. So if 76 isn't enough horsepower for you, the 100 will be next. Same performance, but way more resolution, and another larger blocking filter to handle the big camera sensors. Our 76 right now is about $3,400 for the tube. I'm gonna guess this will be around $7 ballpark, which if you were to price it out for the performance, that's actually pretty decent for 100 millimeter at that band pass. And if you have more questions, you can always come up and ask me later. Be happy to go over any of the spec details. It is still in development, so I don't have everything ironed out, but I can tell a little bit about it. So those are our solar telescopes. So we are stepping into the world of hydrogen alpha, which is really cool to see all the prominences and the flares and all that fun stuff. If you are coming to Grand Canyon Star Party South Rim, I will be there on Tuesday for the rest of the week. The 100 will be there, as well as the 76. So if you're cruising around Yavapai Lodge, my friends and I will usually set up out front there. So you can take a look at it through there if you want. Okay. So Skywatcher's been known for our refractors for a couple decades now. We've done acromats, we've done ED doublets, we've done triplets. Some of you who've paid attention to the product line, maybe you're not as familiar with it, but we have discontinued a bunch of our refractors recently and people want to know why. We have new ones, that's why. So this is our new ED doublet right here. This is called Athera. Athera is going to come in 3 different focal or sizes to start. There's 80, 100, and 120, what you see right here. These are new ED doublets that are replacing our Evo Star series. I'm hoping these will be coming towards the end of the year. I'm not quite sure. We haven't officially announced it yet. This is the first time the Athera 120 has ever been shown publicly. So it's been under lock and key for a little while. So kind of cool. The nice thing about these is they do have the retractable dew shields, which our older models didn't. The focuser rotates, it's a dual speed, and then it also has a camera angle adjuster on the back. So the focuser can rotate separately from your camera or the diagonal on the back, so you can position it the way you want. It does come with the handle, the upgraded rings, and there is a travel hard case, which I don't have here tonight, but it comes with all that. And then there is a 0.77 reducer flattener that I actually have, but it's not out, that goes with that as well. So those are hopefully coming soon. Just another APO refractor in the lineup, which is yay. Our solar scopes, and we're always working on something new. Like I said, there's a ton of other stuff that's in development right now. I was hoping I could bring a little bit more, but they weren't quite ready to discuss yet. So our new little oddball telescope, then there was a first generation about 1.5 years to 2 years ago. These were called Honder's advanced cameras. The first generation it needed some help. It was a hard scope to work with. Optically, it was really cool, but it was a hard scope to just deal with. So we went back to the engineers and said, this doesn't work very well. And then earlier this year, they came out with the DX version. So this is a Honder's advanced camera. The camera sits in the front of the scope. A lot of people like to call it a mini RASA. It has nothing to do with RASA. It's better than RASA. No, I'm just kidding. Skywatcher is a sister company to Celestron, so we like to poke fun at each other when we can. So I will say all that, and then I'm sure one of my bosses will hear what I said tonight, and I'll have a long conversation on Monday about it. So, but these are fast 5-inch f2 astrographs. So if you're familiar with RASA, RASA is the Rote Ackermann Schmidt astrograph from Celestron. It comes in 6, 8, 11, 14. But it's a breed of the Schmidt-Cassegrain design. This has nothing to do with the Schmidt-Cassegrain. And that's about where the conversation ends with RASA and the Honder's Advanced Camera, or HAC. If you're not familiar, is anybody familiar with a Honder's design? Sweet, we can talk about it. Honder's are really odd telescopes, and they have been actually out in the world. There's a couple different companies like Officina Stellare and Astrophysics have made versions of the Honder's. Those are, I forgot the design on that one. It's gonna escape me, but it is a Honder's design, but it's more of a Cassegrain where it focuses out the back. So I'll explain how a Honder's works. So when you look at these, you'll actually notice up at the front, there's a piece of glass. That's actually a lens. So rather than like a Schmidt corrector plate, like on a Schmidt-Cassegrain, we actually have a front lens. Now, my favorite part about the Honder's is actually the primary mirror. It's weird. So it uses what's called a Mangan mirror. A Mangan mirror is a 2-surface optical element. So the front and the back are actually polished as one unit. So what's interesting about this primary mirror is the aluminum coating that you see is actually on the back surface. It's not on the front. So light goes through the front lens, goes all the way through the substrate of the primary mirror, hits the reflectivity portion on the back, and then goes back through the glass. But because it's figured, it actually refracts the light as it's reflecting it in one piece of glass. So the mirror and the front lens actually work like a double refractor in one. So that allows you to get spherical correction taken care of. It also allows you to correct for any color issues. And it's all done through spherical surfaces in a very weird mirror at the back. Then it focuses all that light up to the correcting elements and out to the camera. I brought a second one. This is the production version. And Star Arizona, with their crafty 3D printers, has just released all these little accessories for it. There's the camera. This is their new little dew shield for it. They made a longer one, so you could actually put a flat panel on top of it, so the camera cables don't stick out and hit like our little short. Our short one is great until you actually want to do a flat panel, then it becomes a mess. So they just finished this. These are probably going to be available soon. They have a little accessory bracket they made, and then the best part is the motor focuser bracket for the ZWO EAF, which automates the motor focus or the focuser for you. A lot of people, when we announced these telescopes, were wondering how we were going to focus it. Well, ta-da, there it is. These actually just came to me about a day or two ago from Star Arizona, so they're still adding accessories. They even came up with little cooling fans for it on the back. Not sure why, but if you've ever met Scott down at Star Arizona, you know exactly why, because Scott's a madman and comes up with all kinds of crazy stuff. So this has a 16 millimeter image circle on it. So it's great for the small sensors like the 585 sensor, the 533. You could probably squeak a 294 on there. But if you're just getting in started for astrophotography or you want something super tiny and fast, these little guys will do the job for you. And at F2, you barely even have to guide, because in town, if you shoot 30 seconds, it's coming out white. It will overexpose. It's that fast. I was shooting last night from the backyard. I was actually able to do 2 minutes, which was interesting. But the little galaxy next to M13, which is, I don't even know what magnitude that is. It's not horrendously difficult to see, but in 30 seconds, this thing could pick it up with detail. So no problems. And that's just speed. So if you're looking for a really tiny little astrograph, these little HACs are a lot of fun. They're about 10 pounds and they come with the dew shield. They just clip on the front there. And then you can put your favorite ZWO or whatever little camera you want. The back focus is very, very thin on these, but I can answer any more questions if you need anything, and you can come up and take a look at them a little bit later. So that's pretty much everything on the Skywatcher front. Does anybody have any questions for the Skywatcher brand stuff? I don't do concerns, so don't worry about that one. So, okay, so that's the Skywatcher gear. We do have our strain wave mounts here as well. These are our Wave 100 and Wave 150 mounts. This is the new trend. Everyone wants to go to strain wave because they don't need counterweights. You don't really have to balance them. They have a lot of torque on them though, and they're very, very lightweight. So our little 100 right here weighs about 10 pounds for the mount head. It'll hold 22 pounds without a counterweight and 33 pounds with the counterweight. You don't need to balance them, but if you want to maximize the payload, you'll need the counterweight. Our Wave 150 will hold 33 pounds and 55 pounds with a counterweight. I've had a C14 on this thing. It's terrifying, but it will do it. So, I've had my 7-inch stellar view refractor on this too. That's terrifying as well, but this is what these tests are for. But that will hold a good amount of weight. And the bigger one actually only weighs like 12.5 pounds. So it's super convenient to just throw it outside, and it has cable management, and both versions can do Altaz or equatorial. You just adjust the knob and you're good to go. But like all strain wave mounts, they need electricity to run. You can't disengage a clutch and move it around. It just doesn't work that way for strain waves. Okay, so that's the Skywatcher stuff. This little guy right here has probably been one of the most anticipated little accessories coming onto the market. This is called a Pegasus Smart Eye. I've been on the beta test team for this for a couple months now. I believe they're getting ready to ship. If you're not familiar with these, there's a lot of talk about smart telescopes like the Origin and the Sea Stars and the EV scopes. All those are really, really fun little things, but they only work as themselves as a little unit. Many of us here have our own nice telescopes at home. This turns it into a smart telescope, basically. So this guy right here, and if you do outreach like I do, this has been a huge lifesaver, particularly for the spring skies when it's all galaxies. So this has a 533 color sensor inside the barrel, has a Raspberry Pi inside, and it has a 4K screen all built into one device. You pop that in like any eyepiece, go to live view mode, you focus it, and then you activate the long exposures, and there's different exposure times that you can pick, and it starts live stacking automatically all inside there. And all the raw images are also saved either internally or the little micro USB that can go inside there, and it can save onto that. So any pictures that are captured during your event or for the evening, if you want to share it with your friends, you simply pull the card out, load it onto your computer, and boom, there's the shots. I believe you're also going to be able to image with it as a regular 533 if you want to. They're still developing a lot of things, and I don't work for Pegasus. I'm just on the beta test team. My buddy Richard Wright, who if you are going to be at Grand Canyon South Rim Star Party this coming week, he will also be there. You can go ask him all the questions you want. But if you are doing outreach, if you like the live stacking stuff and you don't want to dig out a monitor and you don't want to drag out an iPad and you don't want to do all that, this little thing does it all. What's cool about this is also in tandem with simulation curriculum. Everyone here would probably know them better as Sky Safari, the nice app that runs everything. So this is going to be able to sync wirelessly to Sky Safari, which I think it's already ready to go. And you will be able to plate solve with your telescope on this. So you put that in there, it links wirelessly, it talks to the mounts. I haven't gotten it to work. I haven't tested on these, but it should work on pretty much any mount as long as the connections are there. But you'll be able to basically slew to M13 or whatever topic or target that you want. The camera will know it's there, takes a picture, plate solves it. Oh, I'm a little bit off, shifts it over, plate solves again, centers it, and you're ready to go. So that's going to be a really cool thing to actually have for the Smart Eye to help you locate targets easier. Because trying to do this manually has been a little bit of a pain, especially when you can't see any of the galaxies. So that's been a difficult challenge when I've been testing this, but once it's on target, it's phenomenal. Now the 533 sensor is a 1-inch square, so it's not a big sensor. I find if you want to have a wider range of targets, somewhere between 400 and 600 millimeter focal length is really great for the big nebulas. If you like galaxies, 800 to 1200 millimeter focal length works out really, really well on a nice 5-inch refractor at 1000 millimeter focal length. The resolution is amazing. And we were using this at a resort event earlier this month, and we had a 5-inch refractor with this on M51, and you can see the spiral arms, you can see the bridge going to the other one, all the dust lanes are going out. I mean, it buries what I could get in a big daub. And it's all in color. And when you're done, you just unplug it and put it back in the case, and ta-da, you're finished. So these are very, very cool. I think James has one coming soon. So monsoon season's coming. But if you're really into outreach, these are going to be a killer thing to actually have. They're going to retail for about $1,700 though, so they're not cheap. What's up, Bill? Uh-huh. That's all it's made. It's like a digital eyepiece. Yeah, that's basically the thought. Is you put it in and you let it live stack and you use it just like an eyepiece. There we go. Oh yeah. Can this be used visually? Yes, it can be used visually. You do have to remember though that it is a camera, so there is going to be some delay when you're like centering a target or something like that. And then you're going to have to give it a few minutes, or it has to go through a few exposures before the image actually turns to color. It starts in a monochromatic format, even though it's a color chip, and it will slowly compile them. And a couple frames in, the color will start to saturate into the image. Yes, sir.
Can you use it with a reflector?
Yes. The question is, can you use it on a reflector? Yes. I've had this on my 28-inch Daub, and that's an f3.3 scope. Putting that on it and putting that on M51, M51 fills the entire chip, and it basically punches you in the face. But you need to have good tracking on it. But yes, as long as it'll come to focus, you should be fine. That's the plan next week for Grand Canyon, is to actually put this back on the 28-inch, and we have it with the Starizona Nexus. If you're a Newtonian user, the Starizona Nexus is a 0.75 reducer coma corrector. So if you have an F4 Newtonian, which this would be ideal for because it's snappy, that'll take it from F4 to F3 very quickly. So that on my Daub will drop it to a 28-inch f2.4. So cooking with gas on that one. So it'll be interesting, or we'll just burn a hole through it. So I guess we'll find out real quick. But honestly, if you've got like a 4-inch refractor, perfect. Like a 6-inch f4 Newtonian, ideal. Yes, sir.
Since you compared it to other astrographs, I'm kind of curious as to like the comparable features. So like, can you control exposures for star trails? Does it have AI denoising? Kind of those types of questions.
So the question is, does it have time lapse or star trail capability? This one doesn't.
Well, not capability, but can you change the exposure length to avoid getting star trails?
Oh, you really want to avoid getting star trails on this, you're going to want to use a tracking scope because the exposures are going to be 10 to 20
so
seconds.
I'm talking like 4 second, 10 second, 30 second, 60 second.
Yeah, you can switch all that. The exposure times can be changed. I think right now it's 10, 15, 20, and 30, I think is what it's in there. Is that what it is? I think it defaults to 10. You can up it. I know on my larger scope with the longer focal length, I have to bring it down. And then on like a refractor with a wider field of view, I can up the exposure because it has better tracking. But yeah, you can change all of that.
Is that app controlled or is there like switches?
It's all internal. So the little dial on the side adjusts the gain, but it's also a click button. So as you go through the menus, you can just click and select and stuff. And then when you get it, you can put a cap on it and you can actually run it through the dark frame subtractions, and it saves the library inside of the memory. So next time you go out, you're just like, oh, I want 10 seconds, apply the dark, and you're done. So.
And then as far as like AI denoising or the deburying and things.
Yeah, it does have a AI. It's not, it doesn't add to it. I know my buddy who programmed this is very particular on how AI processing gets applied to it, but it does have a denoise capability inside of it that applies to it, but it's not nearly as aggressive as some of the smart scopes that I've seen to where it just looks really patchy. It's actually quite clean. So
thanks.
And yeah, you got one? So for those online, they're asking about the Smart Eye and if it works on a solar filter. It should. You probably won't need it though, because the sun is so bright, but you could. You probably don't want to use it with like a hydrogen alpha or calcium filter. You could use it for that, but because it's a color chip, you're going to lose a lot of your resolution on that. I'm begging them to come out with a monochrome version though, because that would be awesome. Any other questions on the Smart Eye? No? Okay. last little tidbit. So this year at NEAF, Teleview, worst company ever because I spend way too much money with them, as I'm supposed Bill Dellinges knows exactly how this problem works out. So it's a good thing they have green lettering because that's where all your green goes. So Teleview is the top eyepiece manufacturer. If you don't own one, I'm sure you've looked through one. They're phenomenally sharp. They come in all different ranges, but they released the new Nagler Type 7s. So there are 4 of them right now. There's a 19, there's a 14, a 9, and a 5.5. I'm sure they'll end up adding more. I don't work for them. I have no knowledge if they're going to do more of it. But these are the newest addition to the Nagler line. And if you're not familiar with Teleview's lineup, every line is really focused around the apparent field of view of the eyepiece. So Naglers are 82-degree apparent field of view. So it gives you that spacewalk effect where the scope just disappears. It's not as wide as the Ethos, which are the 100-degree, but I do have a lot of friends who end up wearing glasses and they can't take advantage of the entire 100-degree field of view. So the Naglers tend to be more comfortable. These guys right here take it a step further, where I believe the entire line is 19mm eye relief. So it's very forgiving if you wear glasses or you like the longer eye relief capability. You now have that long eye relief on top of having that nice wide field of view as well. Now, over the years, like any company, their optical design has gotten better and better and better. The Ethos really set the bar very, very high. And they've kind of become the default, especially from the large Daub owners with the fast optics, because they're very well corrected at the edge. All the new generations, which are the Delos, which is a 72-degree field of view, the Delight, which is a 62-degree, all of these have genetics from the Ethos line where they're even better corrected. These are the next generation for the Nagler line. So these are going to be very, very nice. Again, if you'll be at Grand Canyon and you track me down, we'll be messing around with these too. The 19 and the 14 are straight 2-inch barrels. The 9 and the 5.5, these are 2-inch and 1.25 inch. You thread off this really, really fancy extension, which has very, very fine threads. 3 days later. So you basically have this turkey leg of an 1.25 inch eyepiece, but you can do 1.25 inch on them, and then it has the barrel there. So it's an interesting design. It's not the first one. Their smaller Ethos, the 4.7 and 3.7, have the same kind of skirt design. So this is just continued. A new thing that Teleview is also doing, if you're big on eyepieces, is there's no more bevels on the barrel. So it's very smooth. It just drops right into the focuser, because I don't know if you're familiar with it. If you're an imager and you don't know what an eyepiece is, well, I get it. But the bevels are nice, but if you have a bevel on a barrel, sometimes it'll get caught on the screw or the compression ring. And when you pull it out, I've actually had people do it. They pull it out and they end up dropping it because it gets caught. With a smooth barrel, just nice and smooth, lock it in, good to go. So Teleview has started to shift to all smooth barrels. I don't think everything has gone that way, but all the new guys have it. And I've seen some of the 24 pan optics have them as well. Okay, so that's basically my show and tell of equipment. Does anybody have any further questions on gear, telescope industry, whatever you want to know within my capabilities?
Great job.
Appreciate it.
You know your stuff. What brought you to this realm of science? What? Tell us about you. What got you into it?
So about me and how I got started. I hate talking about myself, but you made me do it. Okay. So I got my first telescope for my 9th birthday from my mom. It was a little 50mm Discovery Channel store, little blue refractor. Looked at the moon, thought it was cool. and it was kind of a slow burn. And then I'm not sure, I think it was a middle school teacher who we started talking about astronomy, and I got more into it. It's like, I have a telescope, and the flames kind of got fanned. And then my dad made me a deal in like 7th grade where if I did good enough on my final, he would pay for half of a new telescope. So I did that, saved up my money. And when Mr. Telescope was still here, some of you might know Mr. Telescope, that store is long gone. It was down on Central. I was able to get a 6-inch Orion Newtonian. That was like my first, like, wow, it's a big telescope. Now, if you handed me one of those, it'd be like, great, that's cool. So, but that's where it kind of snowballed. As far as my career goes, I got started volunteering at the Challenger Space Center in Peoria when I was younger. That's where I kind of got involved with local astronomy groups. And then around 17 or 18, I started working remotely for Lunt Solar Systems. I started their email support and social media stuff. That just got my foot in the door. And then from there, I started doing more outreach on my own and became friends with Scott Roberts from Explore Scientific over Facebook. And he had told me, oh, hey, there's a job at Woodland Hills Camera in Los Angeles. So the owner came out, Farah, had an interview with her and got hired, moved to LA and started working for them for about 1.5 years. And then as I started to go to NEAF and the trade shows, I started to meet people. And that's where I met my current boss, Jeff Simon, who's the director of Skywatcher North America. I got picked up in 2013 to go work for them, and I've been with them ever since. But so they pay the bills, and then I own Focus Astronomy, which it's my own brand. I'm doing corporate events and stuff like that. It's a side gig, and it helps me write off telescope equipment. So that's a fun thing to do. But now I just get to play with telescopes all the time. So Skywatcher is always shipping stuff, but then I'm friends with Software Bisque and Los Mondi and Stellar View, Teleview, lots of views, Lunt, and it's really just going to trade shows, meeting people, but I'm such a telescope nerd that I'm just like a kid in a candy store when I go to all these events, and it's just kind of snowballed into what it is. And every time it's like, I want to play with that, or I want to get that. And I'll go home and I have 12 feet of rack, 6 feet high, full of scopes. I have more scopes than I have time, and I have 3 kids at home. So where the heck I'm going to do any of that? But my biggest thing is I love to share it with people. So I know I have really high-end equipment at home. It's really boring for me to just sit there in the backyard and be like, hey, look at this. No one to share it with. So like Jerry, my buddy's here, and Bill and people I know are here. We'll get together with groups and I'll drag stuff out because all I want to do is share it with people. And it's really, really hard to get a prototype and not tell anybody about it because it's like, this is so cool. So, but that's kind of my story. And now I've got, it's just another group of friends. So I have my local home crew of friends, and then I have all the vendor friends all over the world. So it's been fun to just get to know the community. So sure.
Will you get in trouble if someone walks away with that 100 mil?
Yeah, that's why we put air tags in everything so I can track them. A couple of years ago, I did an event. I left my trailer there overnight. Someone cut the locks off my trailer and stole $18,000 worth of gear out of it. So after the insurance company finally paid out, every case I own has an Apple AirTag hidden in it. So I can track wherever my gear goes anywhere in the world. I will not ever leave that trailer anywhere again. So that was terrifying. So. Yes, sir.
Real simple. Used to be a 401k plan for him because you have his life that he's still young at 7 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And he wants you to fist pump right now.
Oh, there you go.
Go, buddy.
We need more young people. we need more young people in this. We need more women in this. It's, you know, there's not a great spectrum in astronomy. Yeah, but it's a lot of fun to meet people. It's a hobby that's shown me all kinds of stuff, and I've met all kinds of cool people doing it, and it never ends. So I appreciate being here and talking to everybody. Some of you I've probably met out at the Messier Marathon and stuff like that. So
I hope you don't mind, but I'd like to tap your industry knowledge.
Sure.
Okay. I have an Orion telescope, but the Hall effect encoders in the azimuth have gone out. So I'm wondering, you know, obviously Orion Meade Coronado has gone out of business now. They had a big auction in Watsonville a couple months ago. Do you know who bought up all that equipment? Or
High Point.
High Point bought it all?
High Point bought all of that. So most of that equipment is probably sitting in Tucson, in their warehouse in Tucson.
Really?
What they haven't sold out of it. I found out about that whole thing through Tom Palakis. He's like, what do you know about this? It was like, what's going on? Because when Meade and Orion basically imploded, all of us were caught off guard. We were really curious what was going on over there, but I didn't know anybody. I have friends that worked for Meade who lost their jobs, unfortunately, but Orion was a very tight organization that didn't leak anything. So eventually this whole big auction went up, and I was waiting to buy some of that stuff. I'm actually glad High Point bought it because they went through everything. They QC'd everything. They got rid of the crap and they kept the good stuff. So because we were looking at, myself was looking at some of the stuff on there, and there were pallets that were mislabeled with certain stuff. So if you were going to buy the pallet, you'd probably end up getting something you didn't even pay for. So it was going to be a really mix and match. I also got a hold of one of the old Coronado Solar Max 2 90s, which are generally really good solar scopes. Worst scope I've ever used on the sun. It was horrendously. I've had PSTs work better than that 90 did. But High Point ended up buying all of that. I think that's, yeah, so High Point bought all of it.
Okay, I'll try and get in touch with them, see if I can find a replacement board. One other question related to this, for the dealers themselves. I've never seen, I mean, obviously we get a owner's manual, but at the dealer's end, do they have a bill of material that goes so their techs can troubleshoot down to a component level?
So the question is, do dealers basically have breakdowns of components for scopes? Watered down version of that question. Probably not. The Orion stuff or Meade is basically done. So if you have, what scope do you have in particular?
Well, I'm looking for the azimuth Hall effect components, but they're very, on this particular design, they differ from like my 10-inch stop, okay?
What
one.
mount or scope is it exactly?
It's the 6i Star Blast and telescope.
Oh, yeah. To put it politely, good luck, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, all I've got to go off, I've got no logo, I've got no manufacturer's part number. All I've got is a code laser branded on this, one of the smallest small signal packages you could ever see, SOT 923, and it's.
So if you own an Orion product, I'll give you a little secret. Skywatcher is owned by Cinta. Cinta bought Celestron years ago. Cinta manufactured all the Orion go-to hardware. So Skywatcher is actually able to support some of the Orion product. Boards have obviously gotten better and better. So a lot of the old generation stuff, I don't even have parts for. Unfortunately for that scope, I don't have a part for that. If that's not working at all and you want something that is kind of the, you know, push to kind of thing, it's called a Pi Finder.
I'm familiar with that.
Those are well worth the investment and you'll get all the support you need, and it does basically the same thing.
Okay, thank you.
Oh yeah, Frank is really good with stuff like that. Yeah, you could also go to Frank. Always forget about Frank. Frank, so Star Arizona is a great shop. If you need the most oddball stuff, go to Stellar Vision. They're down by the airport. A little bit of a drive, a little bit of a sketchy area too. But Frank is like a really nice guy. Biggest collection of C8s you've ever seen under one roof. But he might be a good place to start. He might actually have some stuff hiding in the back. That's a good point. So Stellar Vision would be my first place to go. Mhm. Yeah, Frank's a good guy. Yeah, Frank's a good guy. So. Yeah, Frank's shop is cool. He's got some good meteorites in there too. They're kind of tucked on the side. So.
Thank you so much, Kevin.
Of
That
course.
was
Thanks for
great.
having me out.
All right, folks, good news is we can leave the chairs up again tonight because they have an event here in the morning. So have a good evening. We'll see you next month.